So this task is actually 3 parts. So let's go through and look at each of these individually. Okay, so our first one here, we need to graph. I just put a piece of graphing paper down here. You could use a large sheet. I was just trying not to flip back and forth. Right, so to graph, the first thing that we need is a coordinate plane. Right, we need our x and y axis. Okay, so if we want to graph y equals 2/3 x, this is really y equals 2/3 x plus 0. So we know that our m is 2/3 and our b is going to equal 0. Okay, so we're going to start at 0 and then we're going to go up to right 3. Up to right 3. If we wanted some more points to extend this across, right, we could go down 2 and left 3. We could continue here. Again, we want to make sure that we have a line that's continuing across here with arrows on both ends, representing that that continues on in both directions forever. Okay, part B is asking us to make a table. So when we look at this one, again, we have 2 separate things, so 2 separate tables. We need to make a table for y equals 2x. So we're going to think about this as a function rule where we're inputting values. You could make up your own values of any type. I think it would be a little bit silly to choose 5,461, right? Let's just pick some easy numbers. So whether you chose 2 numbers, 10 numbers, 1,000 numbers, right? The table could go on for forever, but maybe just some simple numbers like 0, 1, 2, and 3. Right, so if we plug that in, that says 2 times 0. 2 times 0 is 0. Right, if we plug in 1 for x, 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, then on the second one, students will often say to me, well, I can't do this because I've never done anything with an x squared before, but you can. Making a table of values isn't something that you can only do when something is linear, right? We can do it with any problem. So even if this says x squared, we can still make a table of values and plug in some numbers. It could still be 0, 1, 2, 3. You could pick whatever numbers you sort of like. Okay, so in this case, we'd say 0 squared. 0 squared is 0. Say 1 squared is 1. 2 squared is 4, right? Remember, squaring is multiplying a number times itself. So I'm taking 1 times 1, 2 times 2. So here I'll take 3 times 3, which is 9. Obviously, those tables could look a little bit different or have different numbers plugged in, but there are just some simple ones. Okay, then this here tells us to graph. So I'm taking the same thing up here and I can graph it now. You can either choose to graph with the graphing rules that we already know, or you can choose to graph from a table. Okay, so this table is going to allow us to graph something that we've never graphed before. Right, so y equals 2x, we could either choose to graph plotting these points we had up here. So 0, 0, 1, 2, 2, 4, 3, 6. If we wanted more points, we could plug in more values. Okay, we can plot, so for right now, yeah, I think I'll stick to the same color. Hopefully it shows up well enough. So we can plot these points over here for the x squared. So we can plot 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 4, 3. Oh, that would be a little bit cut off. Now, this one we haven't done before, so we shouldn't just draw something here and assume we know, right? There are some things that we should be able to tell as properties. So then, since this says y equals mx plus b, we know that this first one is going to be a line. The green one does not, so we might need to do some more work to see what's happening, and that might include plugging in some numbers that happen over here, which means negative x values. So maybe I plug in negative 1. So negative 1 squared is 1. Plug in negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4. Okay, but what's happening is we're going to get a graph that comes down here and then goes back up. Oh, that was terrible. Pretend I hit that point. My paper moved. So some things that we could talk about that they have in common is that maybe over here on this right-hand side, they're both increasing. They both have points at the origin. right? They both intersect at the point 2, 4. Okay, those would be some different similarities, some differences, right? Over here in the negative x values, one is increasing, one is decreasing. Right? We could say this always is now going up. These arrows are both going up, whereas this one is also allowing it to go down. We have some different points we could talk about. Okay, there's several options there as long as you're listing some similarities and differences that you see between the two.